Downtown Port of Spain. This is the TV6 Weekend News.
A very good evening and welcome to the TV6 Weekend News. I'm Urvashi Tiwari Ruknarai. In the headlines tonight, 32 police recruits test positive for COVID-19 and 2 more male patients succumb to the virus. The National Security Minister announces a new liberalized exemption policy for nationals wanting to return home. And in sport, TKR get past St. Lucia Zouks for 9th straight CPL win. Well, it's our top story now. The country records 2 more COVID-19 deaths as the Ministry of Health announces 190 more confirmed cases. And the TTPS has 32 police recruits attached to the police academy in St. James have tested positive for the COVID-19 virus. 1 death was reported this morning as an adult male with comorbidities, while a second death, an elderly male, was reported this evening. Those 2 bring the total number of COVID-19 deaths in TNT to 33. The new positive cases, the highest reported in one day, came in 2 batches, 102 between August 28th and September 4th, then an additional 88 from samples taken over the same period. Regarding the police recruits, on August 25th, 1 recruit tested positive, followed by another 3 days later. The TTPS then isolated the 42 recruits who were in direct contact with the 2 recruits and sent them to the University of the West Indies St. Augustine campus. That's where tests revealed that 32 out of the 42 tested positive for COVID-19. According to a TTPS media statement issued today, the recruits, including the 10 who tested negative, remain in quarantine, and that 143 recruits who are in training will also be tested, along with staff of the academy. The TTPS says the proposed graduation on September 16th and the passing out of this batch of recruits will be postponed indefinitely. Minister of National Security Stuart Young announces a new liberalized exemption policy at today's Ministry of Health presser. He says it will speed up the process for nationals wanting to return home. But the minister warns there is still strict criteria to be met before any exemption is granted by the state. Nicholas Lachman Singh has a story.
Minister of National Security Stuart Young said after detailed consideration and consultation with the Ministry of Health, they have come up with a policy to speed up the process in getting TNT nationals back by placing countries into 2 categories, high risk and low risk.
These categories would be determined by the Ministry of Health following the categorization by WHO. So WHO have different categorizations of how they treat countries depending on the high risk and medium risk are cluster spread and community spread. The low risk category that we are determining is sporadic spread and nil. So those are the 2 categories going forward.
The National Security Minister said they will be paying attention to the changes in risk categories as countries can go from low risk to high risk easily and vice versa.
So with respect to persons returning from low-risk countries, the following will apply. You must not have been in a high or medium-risk country for 14 days prior to arriving in Trinidad and Tobago via a low-risk country. We are aware that persons, and understandably, are leaving high-risk countries and going to lower-risk countries. But we will be monitoring, and persons cannot just jump from a high-risk to a low-risk and that get into how we're treating you in the low-risk category.
Young said persons from low-risk countries must produce a negative PCR COVID-19 test taken 72 hours before entering Trinidad and Tobago, and upon arrival will have to sign an agreement to be quarantined at home for 14 days in the first instance.
With respect to persons returning from high to medium risk countries, the following will apply. You will be state quarantined for 7 days upon arrival in Trinidad and Tobago. So this is done down from the previous 14 days. You will be swabbed within 24 hours of arriving in Trinidad and Tobago. Once you don't test positive nor present any symptoms of COVID-19 within the 7-day period, you again will be asked to agree to via signing a form to then fulfill the rest of your quarantine period at home.
However, the National Security Minister said if those persons test positive before and do not require hospitalization, it will be up to the CMO or the Ministry of Health to decide whether they will be sent home to quarantine. The National Security Minister added that they expect the request for exemptions to go up and have seen it increasing, but he said returning nationals who were stuck aboard are their first priority.
Seeing the figures of applications go up, it is obvious that there are persons who were living abroad, who are Trinidadians, who were living abroad and now have taken personal decisions that they want to return home. They are not going to be the priority. Our priority is getting back our nationals who were stuck abroad, who had gone abroad before March when we closed our borders, and getting them back safely via this new exemption policy.
Nicholas Lachman Singh, TV6 News.
Well, the minister took time to send a message to persons threatening litigation against the state to have their exemptions fast-tracked. He says such actions will more than likely slow down the process.
Use the media. People are free to contact the media because I understand how painful it is. I understand how difficult it is. This is for persons who want to come home. But I just want the population to know that by going to lawyers and litigating and pre-action protocol letters against the Minister of National Security and others to try and jump ahead of the current criteria that is being applied for exemptions is not going to work.
Minister Stuart Young says every one of those cases going before the courts has been successfully defended.
It may delay your process because then the lawyers go to court, and so far the court quite rightly has understood what we're doing is protecting the population and the criteria that is in place for sick or elderly, those with young children, and the criteria we've been applying to determine the prioritization of persons getting home has been making its way through the court and has been not turned over by the court system. I don't expect it to be.
The National Security Minister also announced the police have received ticket books and will begin issuing fixed penalties to persons seen without face coverings.
The police service have received the ticket books for the mandatory mask wearing policy. Those were received yesterday, so the population can appreciate from today and can prepare themselves from today. If persons are found not wearing their masks in public places, Trinidad and Tobago Police Service will now be issuing tickets to those persons.
Minister Young says the public should be vigilant and do what's recommended to ensure they don't receive a $1,000 fine for such a simple directive.
Ticket books, and you can possibly face that fixed penalty ticket fine of $1,000. And I'm sure nobody wants to have to pay $1,000 where all you have to do is wear your mask, or as the Minister of Health was just saying, your face shield or some covering over your nose, mouth, and chin area in accordance with the regulations.
Now that the wearing of face masks are mandatory, the Health Minister explains what types of face coverings are acceptable under the public health regulations.
Regulation 7, requirement to wear masks in public. It says, no person shall, without reasonable excuse, be in a public space without wearing a face mask, which is this, a face shield, which is this, or a face covering in a manner which covers his mouth, nose, and chin.
Health Minister Diyal Singh says he's drawing the distinction between the face mask and the face shield, as persons not willing to wear the face mask for whatever reason can still cover their faces with the face shield, which is acceptable by the regulations.
Valid, you may be asthmatic or whatever, but you could wear a face shield. This will allow you to breathe freely and gives you a high degree of protection, not as much as a mask, but some protection is better than none.
Still ahead in the TV6 Weekend News, all taxes have been removed on laptops and tablets. That story and more after the break.
As a father and a husband, I believe it is my role to You've spoken. We have heard. Now we're making more time available for your evening primetime shows on K105. From Monday, July 6th, Your Law will air from 6 to 7 p.m. On Tuesdays, Simply Agriculture. And on Wednesdays, join discussions on constitution reform in partnership with Island Media. At 5:55 p.m., we bring you news headlines, a capsule on local, regional, and international events, followed by News at 7 via simulcast with GBN Television. Join Godfrey Augustine for stimulating discussions on Release It from 8 p.m. on Wednesdays and Thursdays. GBN's K105.5 and 105.9. We're with you everywhere and anywhere. If you're on the move, catch us online at www.gbn.gd.
Long ago, the strength of Grenadians was in their arms as they worked the lands to get food for the table. Nowadays, most Grenadians' plate is packed with lots of starch and meat, little or no vegetables, plenty fried foods, and they wash that down with something sweet while sitting in front of screen. Hard work and exercise seem to be out of style, and lifestyle diseases are becoming the fashion of the day and claiming many lives. Let's make a change to live longer. Let us grow and enjoy a variety of natural and safe, fresh vegetables and fruits every day. Use our local fresh seasoning and spices to make our traditional dishes healthier and avoid highly processed foods, snacks, and drinks. Drink more water every day to help your body function better. Get moving every day and trade some screen time to share and enjoy healthy family meals. Choose healthy foods and healthy lifestyle. Follow the healthy choices for healthy living guidelines for Grenadians.
Grenada Broadcasting Network is making a platform available for the children of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique to shine. Are you between the ages of 3 and 16? Send us a video that showcases your talents. Whether it's singing, dancing, playing an instrument, reciting poetry, or a monologue, or any other talent, now is your time to shine. It's simple to enter. Just take a video of yourself performing, include your name and age in the beginning of that video, and then send that video to the email shineongbn@gmail.com. It's easy like 1, 2, 3. The program will premiere on GBN's YouTube channel soon, so get on it. Remember, it's shineongbn@gmail.com.
GBN Television News at 7, a pulse on all things Grenadian. Look out for our new features through expanded synergies with our media partners in Barbados, St. Lucia, Jamaica, Trinidad, and beyond. Capturing the latest in news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Credible, informative. Thank you for making us number one. News at 7, live, Monday to Friday on GBN Television, Channel 7 and 11. K105.5 and 105.9, Hot 98.5 and 98.7, GBN Television Facebook page and YouTube channel, and www.gbn.gd. GBN, with you anywhere and everywhere.
The government has decided to remove all taxes on the purchase of laptops, notebook computers, and tablet computers. According to the Finance Minister, Carl Membert, in a late-night Twitter post on Friday, the measure is in keeping with the PNM's election manifesto promise and takes immediate effect following a submission from his ministry to the cabinet on Thursday. When asked for clarification today as to what exactly all taxes meant, Minister Imbert tells TV6 News, quote, computers are already exempt from customs duty. This measure removes VAT and the OPT, or online purchase tax, on laptops, notebook, and tablet computers, end quote. On Friday, he also noted taxes are earmarked to be removed on other devices mentioned in the PNM's manifesto. These include mobile and digital equipment, cell phone, software, and accessories through the Finance Act of 2020. He says these will take effect after the completion of the budget debate in or around December 2020. The move came as more and more people have been asking for incentives to ease the burden faced by families who are now forced to facilitate online learning for their children, and that's amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Opposition leader Kamala Persad-Bissessar took to social media yesterday calling on the government to remove the taxes on the sale of these devices to facilitate online schooling. A few hours after her post, Minister Imbert took to his social media account to announce cabinet's approval on those very items, which he says was granted the day before. 1 week after his killing, relatives held the funeral service of Moruga resident Fenric Hudlin. The 56-year-old was shot by an off-duty police officer last Saturday, leading to 2 fiery protests in the community and no word yet from investigators if an arrest will be made. At his Gomez Trace St. Mary's home this afternoon, relatives called on police officers to be more compassionate with the public.
I want to send a strong message to officers today to be more compassionate. Do not use your authority to oppress citizens of this country, boy. A mega clarion call for us to live right, boy.
Still reeling from the hurt and grief following the shooting death of 56-year-old Fenric Hudlin, relatives broke down as his body lay one last time at his St. Mary's Village, Moruga home. It's been a week since he was shot by an off-duty police officer, an incident which was captured on CCTV footage. Investigators are yet to pronounce on the case, and the man relatives hold responsible for his death remains without charge.
Every time you make a family cry, you make the public have bitterness in their heart for you today. And I believe that officer could do better. But it starts with you, the man in the mirror today.
There have been 2 heated protests in the community since, as friends and relatives clamor for a fair investigation. But today, there were no burning tires or passionately worded signs, just a display of sadness, grief, and utter loss of this grandfather of one.
He do me so, and he gone, but he will never pass you straight. My man was a good soul. My man was a very good soul. Let me tell you something, eh? Justice will prevail. Things just happen in God timing. Everything happen in God timing. We are hurt and we know we find nothing happening now. But this is now is our timing. That is why we hurry and we anxious. But leave it up to God. Oh, yes. No stone will left unturned.
After the baptist ceremony, his body was taken to the nearby Taylor Trace Cemetery for burial. Early on Saturday, the funeral service of slain mother of 4, Sherry Ann Huggins, took place at a mosque in Laventille. Huggins was chopped to death at her Dan Kelly home. Her killer, an estranged male partner, later took his own life at Woodford Square, Port of Spain. Mourning friends and relatives came out despite restrictions to pay their final respects to the young woman, mother, sister, and friend whose life was lost in yet another case of domestic violence. Cindy Raghubatika Singh, TV6 News.
The organization Fishermen and Friends of the Sea is calling on Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley to send a delegation to Venezuela to confirm the status of an oil tanker anchored in the Gulf of Paria. Various international news outlets have been reporting for weeks the existence of a tilting vessel containing 1.4 million barrels of crude oil. Secretary of Fishermen and Friends of the Sea, Gary Aboud, believes without immediate action, TNT and the wider Caribbean could face marine environmental genocide.
To the European Union, and we have again written to the American ambassador asking him to speak directly to the President of the United States to lift the embargo on Venezuela to allow emergency crews to go in and make an examination of the Nabarimo.
Earlier this week, Energy Minister Franklin Khan told TV6 information received from Venezuela states that the ship was quote-unquote upright and stable. However, Mr. Aboud says failure by government to take action can result in a nightmare if that vessel is allowed to sink.
Venezuela, and with the Vice President who flew in here under COVID restrictions and had a private meeting with 7 PDVSA executives. If it is the Vice President of Venezuela and the oil executives could meet for private meetings with the Prime Minister on a matter of trade, then why can't they meet on a matter of disaster?
The body of a missing Venezuelan woman was found today in the cesspit of a former lover. The 33-year-old murder victim, identified as Joanne Diaz of Buenintento, Princestown, was reported missing about a week ago and was last seen about a week ago. A 35-year-old man was detained on Friday concerning her disappearance, and today officers were led to the woman's decomposing body found in a cesspit at the home of an ex-lover at Santa Clara Road in Prisal. Well, still to come in sport, TKR on cloud 9 after getting past St. Lucia Zouks for 9th straight CPL win. And top 2 seeds suffer defeats in NBA playoff series.
COVID-19 did not only take lives and affect health, it dealt a severe blow to people's spirit. Shelter-in-place orders meant people were mostly cooped up at home and unable to socialize. All major cultural events were cancelled. And that's our focus on Monday. Join us for Beyond the Headlines as we examine the impact of COVID-19 on our culture. Let's hear from eminent panelists, Lincoln Toro Depredine in Canada, Harold Paisidi in New York, and representatives of the Canada Caravana and the Notting Hill Carnival in London. Beyond the Headlines, Monday night, 8:35. We'll see you then.
Hi, I'm Francis Urias Peters. I'm a good listener, and K105 has always been a great source of education and entertainment. Now, while the station name may have changed over the years, it has always provided valuable information which enabled me as a playwright to document and to celebrate our history, our behavior, and our achievements. K105 is my choice. It's the national station.
5 things you need to know about self-isolation. Stay home. If you are told to self-isolate, it means staying at home, not going to work, school, or other public places, and you should not have any visitors. Separate yourself. If you live with others, then you need to stay in a well-ventilated bedroom with the door shut. If you have to share a bathroom, then use it after everyone else. Don't share towels and toiletries, as this may put others at risk. Call ahead. If you develop symptoms such as a fever or cough, then seek advice first by calling the Ministry of Health's hotline at 538-4787 or 458-4787. Please do not show up at a medical center or hospital, as this may put others at risk. Take care with waste. If you test positive, your waste should be double bagged and disposed of separately. Create a buddy system. If you live on your own, you can plan with friends and family to check in with each other and run essential errands if one becomes sick. Once sick, they should leave groceries on the doorstep. Why it's important. COVID-19 causes a mild illness for 4 out of 5 persons. Self-isolating will help protect the older generation and those who may have underlying health problems from getting infected.
Protect yourself and our community from COVID-19. Wash your hands frequently with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. If soap and water are not available, use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer with at least 70% alcohol. Use a tissue when blowing your nose, sneezing, or coughing. Immediately discard the tissue properly and wash or sanitize your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Let's do our part to ensure that each and every Grenadian remains healthy. To stay up to date, visit the Government of Grenada's webpage or the Ministry of Health's Facebook page. For more information, contact the Ministry of Health's hotline by calling 53-VIRUS. This has been a public service announcement brought to you by the Ministry of Health.
Can't wait to see my granddaughter.
Long ago, the strength of Grenadians was in their arms as they worked the lands to get food for the table. Nowadays, most Grenadians' plate is packed with lots of starch and meat, little or no vegetables, plenty fried foods, and they wash that down with something sweet while sitting in front of screen. Hard work and exercise seem to be out of style, and lifestyle diseases are becoming the fashion of the day and claiming many lives. Let's make a change to live longer. Let us grow and enjoy a variety of natural and safe, fresh vegetables and fruits every day. Use our local fresh seasoning and spices to make our traditional dishes healthier and avoid highly processed foods, snacks, and drinks. Drink more water every day to help your body function better. Get moving every day and trade some screen time to share and enjoy healthy family meals. Choose healthy foods and healthy lifestyle. Follow the healthy choices for healthy living guidelines for Grenadians.